My name is CK Supreme, and I'm just going to cut right to the chase. If you're struggling with Hyperlight Breaker's solo content, you need this build. Currently, I'm using a crit lifesteal build that maximizes your survivability by giving you a ton of health each time you get a crit in game. Taking a closer look at what we've got going on here, the most important part is your Holobytes. So this first Holobite I have here is the one that increases your crit chance and crit damage. The second one here is super important, I think, for just avoiding damage in general. There's a lot of attacks in the game where they'll damage you repeatedly, and just having this Holobite alone helps avoid those attacks. And probably the most difficult to obtain and most important part of our crit build is this Holobite right here, Critical Cuffs. This is what allows you to restore your HP off of crits that you get on the enemy. Now, this is fantastic for sustain during boss fights and especially during the overworld. HP is a super valuable resource, as I'm sure you know if you've already played a bit. And on top of that, this actually heals you based on the damage you do. So for instance, if you hit an enemy with something like the Crystal Gauntlet, which does an insane amount of damage, this will heal you a ton. Whereas your smaller hits from something like daggers will heal you incremental amounts. Pretty insane. Finally, we have Flash Accelerator, which allows you to drastically boost your crit chance each time you do a flash step hit, which is your dash attack. And after that, this is just something to boost my damage, especially on Goro. It's really good since Goro has 3 pips of stamina, which allows him to really maximize this. Honestly, this Holobite is not super necessary. If you really wanted to, you could switch it out for something like the one that allows you to reflect projectiles every time you dash. That one's really good for survivability. Or the other Holobite that gives you back your red health, although that's pretty low rarity, so I honestly wouldn't recommend that. Remember that every time you get a crit, you're healing based on the damage you deal, so any Holobite that boosts your damage is going to be preferable. So now taking a look at the rest of our build here, probably the best thing for bosses is going to be this amp right here, Berserker's Exoskeleton. Basically makes you invincible as long as you keep doing damage to the boss. You'll continuously heal, and with our crit build, which gives you lifesteal, you'll actually gain health instead of just sustaining the health you already have, which is fantastic for boss fights. Second, I'm using Soldier's Light here, which the affix I have on it is Crude Whetstone. Any affix that boosts your crit is going to be really good since you're running a crit build. And Soldier's Light I find to be pretty good just because it gives you back some battery, which allows you to recharge this and further improve your sustain. A weapon that works really good on the crit build are the daggers. Unfortunately, however, in a moment of severe mistake, I sold my daggers that I was using for this build. The daggers are really good just because they have innate crit whenever you hit enemies from behind, and you can use their blade special ability to boost your crit chance by a lot, which of course allows you to heal a ton. And finally, getting into the things that are a little less optimized here, I don't have any crit affixes on any of my rails, so I'm just using a blunderbuss that gives rot since that increases the damage my enemies take, which in turn allows me to heal more. And then I also have this medium armor, which just gives me some basic bonuses. It's good armor, it's good, you know, tier 4, so that's really the main reason I'm using it. Again, ideally, you're going to have affixes like Crude Whetstone, which increase your crit chance. Anything that increases your crit damage is also really good. Another thing that is not optimized in this build is my loadout. Right now, I'm currently using my farming Psycom right now, but if I really wanted to, I would have something like this, which is the Warrior Psycom that Lapis has, which allows you to do way more crit damage. Also, way better would be the Tank Psycom for Vermilion, since it actually gives you way more armor and more melee damage via that strike stat right there. Alright, and then finally, if you really want to make yourself extra tanky and you're not worried as much about the damage, something you can do is switch your loadout to be more armor-oriented by utilizing this affix right here, which is Corundum. It's something that boosts your armor by 15%, which might not seem like a lot, but it actually makes a big difference in-game, since if you have 3 of these, for instance, like if you have your rail with Corundum, weapon, and your amp, it's going to boost your armor added, or multiplicatively, actually. It's going to boost it, each one is going to boost it by 15%. It's going to stack on top of each other, which can allow you to easily get your armor from 72 to 140. And for now, that's pretty much it. Join me next time. I'll be releasing a video where I showcase this build, both in the overworld and against a boss. I hope you guys enjoy that, and until next time, I'll see you later.